Is Quicksilver Brash Blur legacy playable? Let's find out. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another legacy video, and today Gecko Gamer has asked me to run back a deck that we played a while back, but we're going to be updating it. So here's our new tech, Quicksilver Brash Blur. If it is in your opening hand, you may begin the game with him on the battlefield. It has haste and a little bit of flavor text at the bottom, where if we somehow get to 5 mana because everything has gone wrong, we can put a +1/+1 counter on it and a double strike counter on it as well. Our goal today is to cast a couple of spells and kill our opponent on turn 1, 2, or 3. We are not built for endurance, we are built for speed here. So Leyline of Resonance is another thing that we can begin play with it in play. So whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets only a single creature you control, you copy that spell, and you can choose new targets for that copy. So the idea here works similarly to Infect, where Invigorate plus Berserk can go and kill your opponent. We're doing the same sort of thing today, although perhaps in a much, much flashier way, with Blazing Shoal offering a ton of damage. So something as simple as start the game with this in play and this in play, followed by a Blazing Shoal, is just lethal. So we are just fully attempting to go fast today. We have a limited amount of protection for our own combo, but the deck will go fast, and we did put up some wins with this last time we played. I think I overkilled someone by 120 points of damage in one of the games where we just popped off really, really hard. Now, there's a couple of oddities in this deck. Dryad Arbor is a very legitimate threat in this deck, as weird as that is to say, because you can use turn 1 to fetch Dryad Arbor and then just combo off using Dryad Arbor. Your opponent might pass the turn thinking they're safe, and then Dryad Arbor clocks them for 20 or 40 or 100 damage or whatever. I am going to make some small changes to this deck before I start recording here. I very vividly remember saying when I played the last version of this that I didn't like the monocolored lands because you wanted to be able to, off of a single land, play your threat and still be able to invigorate. And this deck is very land light. So I think I am going to get rid of both forest and mountain, add an extra fetch land, and I think I'm legitimately going to add a stomping ground into the deck, so that we have 5 mana sources that aren't Dryad Arbors for the purposes of Quicksilver Brash Blur on the off chance that we get there. The 2 points of damage probably doesn't matter in most cases. Fetch land plus Stomping Ground puts me at 17, which is not 16 for the Fantasticar, so I think that's okay. And Clarifying, 5 untapped mana sources. I also have Commercial District as well. As far as the sideboard goes, it's hard for this deck to sideboard. Very legitimately, about what we do in most of the matches is sub Pact of Negation for another thing that is more relevant if Mindbreak Trap or Force of Vigor or Surgical is more relevant. It is hard to take pieces away from this core. This is a deck that needs to assemble a handful of cards in the first 2 turns to execute its win. And every time you cut a piece, it becomes harder to do that. So this is going to be a fun meme league where we expect to get some very flashy kills. The downside here is that I am not great against opposing combo if I cannot race them. This deck is very fast, but when my opponent opens up on those Dark Ritual Doomsday, Dark Ritual Fantasticar lines, we can be in trouble. Folks, if you need any Magic cards, please consider getting them from my sponsor, TOAMagic.com, and when you do, use promo code ThrabenU to save a little bit on your order. It helps me out a lot and supports a business that has been very good to a lot of legacy content creators over the years. With that being said, let's battle. Alright, we need to do a little math here. I think this hand is a mulligan. So, Wooded Foothills, I'll start the game with this in play. Wooded Foothills, play Heartfire Hero. Turn 2, I can double Invigorate. I have Nothing to do with these other than just make a 1/1 goblin. I think I mulligan this one. It's not far off from being a kill, but it's not a kill. Okay. Begin the game with this in play. Fetch Dryad Arbor. This probably goes places. I assume that double Berserk will kill my opponent from just about any life total. Leyline. Alright. Opponent plays the first half of a broken combo. I play the first half of my combo. Oh, it's Island. Oh, let me shut off desktop audio. I was streaming. Yeah, you can flow state. Here comes Dryad Arbor. I'm punished for pitching the Progenitus. Okay, is Blazing Shoal lethal? So get +1, doubled to +2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8. No. I really need one more mana here to double cast these Berserks, since this is one of my lands. So I think we just do this anyway. And then this is a decent amount of damage. And then hopefully I find red card or land to finish off my opponent next turn. I get 2 to 4 to 8. But Berserk kills my creature, so I can't, like, do that over 2 turns. Alright, great. That's not Planar Nexus. No. Pact of Negation doesn't really protect against that, unfortunately. Now I'm in very bad shape. Well, it's another Dryad Arbor at the very least. And Berserk will give Trample. Unfortunately, this was the land that I needed for lethal prior to Dryad Arbor exiting existence. Thanks, I hate it. Arn minuses. Getting the 1 ring. So hopefully I kill my opponent this turn. Otherwise, things get bad. Very, very quickly. More other Dryad Arbor. That is a land. That sure looks like lethal to me. And that's lethal protected by Pact of Negation. Attack your face. We go Berserk. 1 to 2 to 4. And then this will be 8 to 16. Boop. Boop. That is Force of Will. Can't let you do that, Star Fox. Get wrecked by a tree, nerd. GG's. Alright, so I don't hate Pact of Negation to protect my combo against my opponent's stuff. So I don't know that I'm boarding that out. I could Force of Vigor. I could play more copies of Legolas's Quick Reflexes for Kozilek's Command specifically. I think I'm just gonna let it ride and play the Game 1 deck again. This feels kind of clunky. Like, I can hit a giant creature and all of a sudden this hand becomes insane. I think I'll just mulligan this one. So this starts with a creature in play. On turn 1, puts Monstrous Rage on it. I am attacking for 3 immediately. Sure? Put Dryad Arbor back in the deck. I can fetch it if I need it. So I have a Goblin. Opponent has Planar Nexus and Dismember, which unfortunately Invigorate does not save them from that. Okay. So we... Oh, that's such a terrible draw at this stage. So we now go into the Fetch Dryad Arbor mode of the game. Uh-oh. One Ring is a pretty decent Magic the Gathering card, to say the least. Since I can't force damage through the One Ring anyway, I think I Surveil here. Heartfire Hero. Yeah, I'll take that. Now I can throw a creature into play and potentially do End of Turn Monstrous Rage. I also have Fetch Dryad Arbor as a different line. Invigorate will protect from Dismember now on this creature, because I will get a +1/+1 counter. That is Karn, which probably means that the next turn cycle means I'm effectively dead. Maybe not literally dead, but effectively dead. There's Ratchet Bomb. All right. That's a thing that can kill my Heartfire Hero another turn down the line. I would like to swing for lethal next turn, if possible, I think. So let's Monstrous Rage this for this +1/+1 counter. So we're temporarily a 5/3, and then we will go back to a 3/3 on my own turn. We are not at lethal, so I guess I'll kill a Karn. I'm thinking about this for just a moment because Ratchet Bomb will kill my creature. I don't think I am quite there. I'll attack Karn, kill Karn, and then pass the turn. I don't want to play the second Heartfire hero into the Ratchet Bomb that is ticking up. Opponent will lose 2. Draw a bunch of cards with the One Ring, and they have a ton of mana, so I'm not hopeful here. Unless my opponent gets greedy and like passes the turn without cracking Ratchet Bomb, I think it's pretty hard for me to win this game. If they pass the turn, I can crack in for a bunch of damage. In combat, they go to crack Ratchet Bomb, and I can potentially do something like Blazing Shoal, pitch a Chancellor, make this thing absolutely huge, and kill my opponent through Heartfire hero just dying. Yeah, that's awful. I suspect that I just fully lose to that. The combination of the life gain, card draw, and ability to exile my creatures feels like too much. Opponent is discarding. I don't think I'm going to play it out from here. I think my opponent's got it. GG. I think I'm still jamming the main deck and hoping it works better. I could have mulliganed to 5 that game rather than keeping the mediocre 6. Okay. So this would put opponent at 26 life if I go and fetch a Dryad Arbor. 1, 5, 9, 18, plus whatever I cobble together with Once Upon a Time. I'm a little short. And the Berserk is kind of terminal. I can try to Once Upon a Time for a better creature, like the Heartfire hero that would get +1/+1 counters in addition to this. Or I can just ship this one. I think I'm going to ship this one. I think it's very close. I mean, I am one large creature away from this just being lethal. Alright. I think we're doing that reluctant keep thing again. Maybe I should be mulliganing more aggressively than I am. But I do need a handful of cards for my kill. And Tower represents a Dismember, unfortunately for me. Dryad Arbor. Act of Negation is kind of cool. I think I just play Wooded Foothills here. I don't think I Monstrous Rage this turn. I think I attack for 1 and Surveil and try to kill the following turn. And this way my Berserk style cards can get more value out of Monstrous Rage. And if my opponent has Dismember, maybe they Dismember Dryad Arbor and don't take another card with it. Planar Nexus comes down. Grim Monolith. This will be... oh no, it's 4 mana with blue. My opponent is going to cast Stock Up. That's fine, as long as it doesn't hit exactly Dismember. Because my opponent would cast the Dismember now since they have the floating mana. And that would be quite bad for me. It is, unfortunately, the Dismember. So now I am probably priced into getting another Dryad Arbor and hoping I get lucky with my draw step producing one of the 8 large red cards. Ha 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 ha. Pact of Negation, sucker. Combat. In we go. Blazing Shoal, pitching Perdanatus, double it up. I believe that my opponent needs 2 Force of Wills, 1 for each copy of Blazing Shoal in order to survive. Oh my gosh, it's Force of Will. We're in. Nice. 11, 22. For style, Monstrous Rage. Take that, Planar Nexus and the One Ring. GG's. I think we got lucky there with that rip. That was very, very fortunate. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and I love them. I have over 1,000 deck lists here. And I think the thing that I like the most about them is they're more than just a basic deck builder. If you need information about your next pre-release or where you can get cards, they have that sort of stuff here too. Whether you need to manage your collection or just a couple of decks, Moxfield does it all. So go check them out. All right. My opening hand has 2 different freebie effects here, which I think is fascinating enough to make it into a keep. I think, like, just being on the play, I just double Monstrous Rage this and go, that's probably fine. I think I'm also going to take 2 off of Stomping Grounds to maybe make that into a Dryad Arbor or a Surveil land later. Yeah. Double Monstrous Rage. And opponent starts the game at 14 life. I'll take it. Good stuff. So the Progenitus was kind of a do-nothing card in this hand, but the other stuff is pretty reasonable. I wonder if opponent is considering conceding. Like they think they are just behind enough that they don't want to show me what deck they are playing, which I think would be a reasonable decision. It is a Wasteland. Yeah, you've got it. Invigorate. Off of what land? Surveil land? Question mark? Dryad Arbor could be better. I will keep that. So in I go. So now my opponent will go up to 17. They're going to gain 3 life from this, but take 8 from this. So I am still getting a decent amount of damage. That is an attack for 10. My opponent is at 7. And then double Monstrous Rage on my turn will be lethal. I'm hoping for not Sorcery Speed Fatal Push. Cameo. Okay. Trample? It is Trample. In we go. Opponent blocks. Here's Murderous Rage that gets copied. So that is 4. This will be 8. Oh, sorry, not a doubler. So this is a total of 6. I will trample over Tamiyo for 3 and call it a turn. Yeah, because the roll token is already there. No. Can't protect that with Pact. Oh, okay. This got scary all of a sudden. Anyway, because the Murderous Roll token was already there, the Monstrous Rage was not worth as much damage. Hope my opponent doesn't come back from this. Brainstorm on their turn, followed by a Surveil land, and they can junk one of the cards that they left on top with Brainstorm. That's not particularly good. That's a flow state to the graveyard so that there is a sorcery in the graveyard. And now I need to probably find multiple cards, honestly. I need like land and creature, or alternatively, Dryad Arbor, followed by a land that lets me cast Monstrous Rage. Opponent to 2 life, and has a Tamiyo. That's a Progenitus. Uh-oh. So now Tamiyo gets to start doing this whole clue thing. It is not particularly positive for me. And Tamiyo is a Planeswalker. Up to 4 loyalty immediately. And Tamiyo can minus and return to like Flow State and Fatal Push, so this is really not great. Dryad Arbor into another land will still be lethal. Ooh. Now my opponent gets blockers. So now my opponent can absorb 3 damage, 1 from Tamiyo plus, 2 from Bowmaster blocks. They are at 2. Monstrous Rage plus Dryad Arbor is a total of 6. I think I am still okay. In the biggest possible... Oh god, Kaito as well. In the biggest possible quotation marks, I'm okay in that I have lines towards lethal. But this is tough. I believe that I need to spike a red source as my draw for turn. I think once my opponent can have Kaito plus Tamiyo plus Bowmasters that they can cast to ping one of my creatures, the game's just not winnable anymore. Although I guess there's some weird resolve a Heartfire hero, my opponent kills it and dies situations. Tamiyo to 6. Fetch Dryad Arbor and Prey. I don't have all that many lands in the deck. Uh-oh. Opponent has the Fatal Push. Yeah. Can't protect with Pact against that on my opponent's turn, or I die. That is a Leyline. Alright. It's pretty hard to imagine winning now. Like, there's Tamiyo Plus and Bowmaster and Clue and Kaito and the other 5 cards in hand. And a new flow state as well. Alright, I'm gonna move on. You've got this at this stage. GG. Fell just short there. It seems to me like a couple more copies of Legolas's Quick Reflexes to protect my creatures from removal is an okay place to be. I think that's all I'll do with sideboarding. This is the sort of deck I think we don't want to play against. This is counter spells and removal and Orcish Bowmasters all at the same time. Alright, opening hand looks to be pretty aggressive here. So I start with Leyline of Resonance in play. I have Blazing Shoal that will get doubled up. I have Dryad Arbor as a threat if I don't find a different one off of Once Upon a Time. That's just a different looking Dryad Arbor. Alright. I pay 1 life to fetch it out of deck at end of turn? Probably. Let's grab Wooded Foothills and pass. If my opponent has any weirdo sorcery speed removal, for flow state purposes specifically, this plays around it. This is an insane Thoughtseize because it effectively takes 2 of my cards. Like, by taking Blazing Shoal, you also take Progenitus effectively from the hand. That is a disaster. Yep. And now that I don't have the turn 2 kill, my opponent's removal spells will be more online. Chancellor is a terrible draw here. In for 1. And I will just put another Dryad Arbor into play, anticipating that one of these might end up dying. Wasteland is good. Yep. Fatal Push 2. Double Sinkhole me. Hydroblast is great. Getting rid of that Leyline means that all of my spells don't go as far. That'll be a Surveil land. I'm just attacking for 1 here. My opponent almost certainly has won this game already. Thoughtseize, Wasteland, Hydroblast interacting with 3 of my permanents in the first 2 turn cycles was too much. And another Thoughtseize, so I will lose Invigorate as well. Now I don't have protection versus Bowmasters. We're very close to Blazing Shoal or bust here in terms of winning this game. Good God. I've used both Dryad Arbors already, so this does not actually represent a threat. I will Surveil. I know that I don't want to land. We're not going to work towards 7 mana hardcast Chancellor here. Gotta land anyway. In for 1. Sad Dryad Arbor beats are a go. I will pass turn. I'm going to value thinning a land out of the deck over getting tapped Stomping Ground out of the way. You may brainstorm. There's a fetch land to shuffle. I do lose Dryad Arbor. We'll do our super marginal deck thinning and hope for the best. Invigorate is not the best. Opponent will fetch at end of turn and get a little bit of selection. Saying no to Polluted Delta. They presumably don't need more mana at this point. They just want to stick a Tamiyo, Baragoyf, Kaito, whatever, and then disrupt me once or twice for the remainder of the game and easily ride whatever they play to victory. That's another Wasteland, and there's their threat. They don't know how many Dryad Arbors I'm playing, so they are not Wastelanding me. That's reasonable. Here is a Heartfire Hero. I could, like, try to hold this in hand, but my opponent is a Thoughtseize deck, so it's a little dangerous to just do so. At some point, I could block. Alright, it's Fatal Push instead. I could turn Invigorate into a very bad burn spell. I don't think I am going to do so. Opponent to 11. I will take 3 here, down to 14. And it's Flow State. This is hard to keep up with. Another land. Life's bad. At least Nethergoyf's only a 3/4. I will eat 3 more damage. And I get Thoughtseized again. Alright. Goodbye, Invigorate. Opponent to 9. Another land comes down. I think I'm going to pretend that this represents another Dryad Arbor and not crack it. I think if I crack this and get a Taiga, there's a chance that I just get Wastelanded on the spot. Yikes. Yeah, I think my analysis of, like, I lost this one on, like, turn 2 was accurate. I now just don't have outs, right? Because I die on the next opposing combat step, and nothing that I do with an Invigorate can get me to lethal immediately. That'll do. My opponent gets this one. GG's. We're 1-1. I don't want to play against more Dimir Tempo. That matchup feels like a nightmare for us. Okay. This attacks for an exceptionally large amount of damage on turn 1. So I think I just keep it. I start with 3 creatures in play and get to Blazing Shoal, a Progenitus on turn 1. It's a little weird from there. I play Dryad Arbor as well. Let's play this. No, I'll still play Dryad Arbor. In for 3 points of damage. Blazing Shoal, pitch Progenitus. Opponent is at 7 on turn 1 with 4 power in play. Seems decent. Basic Island. Opponent passes. I will send in for 4. Opponent to 3. And I have 5 damage on board, counting a second Dryad Arbor. Got him. We don't know what our opponent is playing. Should we just assume Doomsday? Just assume blue-black deck of some kind? There's, like, not a lot that I can do in terms of sideboarding. About the... Like, I could swap 2 Pact of Negations for Legolas's Quick Reflexes or something. Or if my opponent is just, like, a fair blue-black tempo deck. It's not like Pact of Negation does much versus Doomsday, and Mindbreak Trap and Surgical are also kind of sketchy. Yup. This is great. So I will keep this. I will begin play with 2 permanents in play and have some pretty cool Heartfire hero lines over time. Opponent will just do Island Go. Progenitus is not what I am looking for in terms of a draw. I suspect that I just play Heartfire hero this turn. And don't try to get cute. 19. Alright, cool. That's in play. That's great for me. Another basic island. Sure. Land drop. Combat. Send on in. I think I will go ahead and invigorate Heartfire hero. Or the doubling. Same target? Same target, so I can protect with Legolas's Quick Reflexes and have all that go through if my opponent does something weird. Is a dress down. Yeah, sure. So I still get a ton of damage, and I still get that counter because that was already on the stack. So I still hit my opponent for 13 here, and have Legolas's Quick Reflexes available to protect Heartfire hero. All right, are you something like High Tide? Low State. I have only seen Basic Island so far in 2 games. Oh, no land drop. All right. Fetch Dryad Arbor then. Is Fetch Dryad Arbor more damage on average than Surveil and try to hit something that produces a win via Heartfire hero triggers? Yeah, let's Surveil. Yes. Beautiful. So, bam. Blazing Shoal Heartfire hero. Now I get to copy it as well, so a Force of Will isn't good enough here. Same targets are fine. I have Legolas's Quick Reflexes to protect. Yeah, we just kill our opponent before we even figure out what archetype they are on. Excellent. GG's. We are 2-1. Opening hand is weird. I have Blazing Shoal Progenitus. I can start with Quicksilver in play. I have Heartfire hero that can get bigger over time. The Pact of Negations are not particularly great here. I think I just keep the opening hand, but it's not quite there. I don't know, do I just like mulligan double Pact of Negation? Like, I assume those are 2 dead cards, and I try to get something in game 1 that just kills my opponent? Or do I just go, hey, attacking for 11 on turn 1 while playing Heartfire hero is good enough? Alright, I'll keep it. Quicksilver. Otawara. Lotus Petal. Pass turn. Leyline, you're a little late, bud. I'm gonna fetch a Taiga for sure. I'm gonna play Heartfire hero. I don't know that I want a Blazing Shoal. I'm not expecting my opponent to be doing Thoughtseize stuff after seeing Otawara Lotus Petal. Like, my immediate thought is this is some sort of affinity style deck. So I think I want to Blazing Shoal the turn that I can protect it with Pact of Negation. I think that's my plan. Opponent to 19. Oh, Ancient Tomb. Show and tell. What the fuck is this? When it enters, exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until your next turn, you may play those cards. Okay. I'm officially intrigued. And you're a mana rock to cast things from exile. Well, you randomly spiked the One Ring. Is that good? Like, was it good to spend 4 mana and 2 life to look at 2 cards that could be the One Ring? I don't know. Okay. Invigorate, opponent goes to 20. I will have 5, 6, 7, 17. So not lethal. I probably just invigorate on Heartfire hero this turn anyway to get the counter on it. Let's do that. So now there is an argument to just Blazing Shoal with Progenitus here on a turn where I know that it can happen and just try to hit my opponent for another 10. I can't Pact of Negation to back that up, though. If I don't use it now, I have to use it 2 turns from now, because 1 ring protection is going to happen. I just think that my opponent has a counterspell, is the thing. It may just be that 2 turns of draws give me something else to do. I don't know. I'm not going to do it. Opponent to 13. So I'm viewing this as protected lethal the next time I get a turn, because I suspect that my opponent plays the 1 ring here, gets their protection from everything, they get another turn, and then at that point, like, the Progenitus is very, very lethal. Mox Opal is fine. City of Traders. Is this just some coveted jewel variant? Seems like yes. Oh, it's Paradox Engine. Oh boy. Oh, I get a turn, but that doesn't matter because of 1 ring protection, which is unfortunate. So now I expect that my opponent gets to combo off with the 1 ring plus Paradox Engine. It's just a matter of how long do I want to sit here and waste my time. I think I would kind of like to see if there's anything else weird. Like, is this a weird singleton, or is this a card that they have built their deck around? I guess that's kind of important. Okay, it is a card that they have built their deck around. Reasonable. Chaos Defiler. Okay. So this doesn't quite work the way I want it to with Heartfire Hero. I can Blazing Shoal a Heartfire Hero, but then my opponent just picks Quicksilver, or the wrong Heartfire Hero. So I just let this resolve, and now maybe at some point I get to the point where my opponent, like, loops or clones Chaos Defilers, and I can kill them with Blazing Shoal, backed by Pact of Negation, which would be very, very funny. Alright, we're not dead. But this is officially miserable. I'm going to stop updating you, except on relevant plays. Unfortunately, that is a 1 ring. That will give protection from everything, and I think make it so that my opponent just wins. I'm not going to sit here for another 10 minutes and figure out more about how their deck works. They've got it from there. GG. Mindbreak Trap seems reasonable here, as does Force of Vigor. I think I am going to opt for Mindbreak Trap for my opponent's combo turns. Like, I get one of these 2. I think I'm going to go with Mindbreak Trap. Turn 1, play Dryad Arbor. Turn 2, fetch Taiga. Invigorate, Monstrous Rage, Berserk. 3, 4, 8, doubled to 16, not lethal. So instead it needs to be Dryad Arbor pass, Monstrous Rage, attack for 4, then try to get lethal the following turn. This is probably close enough that I keep it. Dryad Arbor pass. I don't know that I can do much better than turn 3 Suspected Goldfish. Quick Reflexes is a thing. I don't know that it's exactly a good thing, but it's a thing. Fetch Taiga. There's Monstrous Rage. So I will be hitting for 4. Opponent to 16. Oh, I should have boarded Legolas's Quick Reflexes out. I don't think I need that card. That's 4 mana for the 1 ring. So that will buy my opponent a turn. Seems good. Chancellor is a terrible draw as of right now. I just have to pass the turn here and hope that my opponent can't do their combo thing. Opponent to 15. They get a draw 2. They have 9 cards in hand. That is a copy artifact, so my opponent can just clone their 1 ring to buy another turn, unfortunately for me. And presumably that process can just repeat. Mox Opal comes down, and it looks like opponent is now passing. I'm going to Surveil land here over finding another Dryad Arbor. I don't get damage in this turn anyway. I do not want that land. The opponent's going to discard a card. That is a Heartfire Hero. That's a pretty good draw. Like, Heartfire Hero is very, very good, with Berserk in particular. So, if I get a combat step, my opponent is almost certainly dead. But they have 10 cards in hand, and cloning a 1 ring is pretty easy to do with 10 cards. That is a City of Traders, and that's the Paradox Engine. Oh my god, I get a turn. Beautiful. Alright. Insane. In we go. Opponent doesn't block. I have to think about counterspells here. Invigorate, Berserk by themselves. This is a +5 here, effectively. So 6 doubled to 12, 13, 14. The Berserk is the thing that I need to get to resolve. I think I will start here, then Blazing Shoal, pitching the Progenitus. So this is lethal. It requires a response. So that is Force of Will. Paradox Engine can untap the One Ring. While that's still tapped, I am going to Berserk my Heartfire hero, double it to 12, and then it's going to die and deal all of that damage to my opponent as well. And I also have a split-second protection spell on top of that. So this is 14, which already would be enough from the One Ring. Yep, you can draw. So there we go, and then end of turn, Berserk, and kill my opponent. Good stuff, GG. So where are we at on Mindbreak Trap versus Force of Vigor? I think I'm supposed to do this. Like, is my opponent actually playing spot removal? Maybe not. I think I'm going to get a couple of Force of Vigors in there, in those spots. All right, here is a Leyline. I start with a Goblin in play. I play Heartfire Hero on turn 1, attack for 1, and then on turn 2, this is +8, +16. Yeah, seems good. Plus the Heartfire Hero counter damage as well. Opponent is down to 4 cards. Leyline. Chancellor Goblin. Seems good. That is Ancient Tomb. Opponent passes. Land drop. Punchies for 1. Fetch Taiga. Throw down Heartfire Hero. And I also have Dryad Arbor to pitch to Force of Vigor. Alright, double Soul Land, no One Ring. That's great. Chancellor is a dead card. I don't know that I am playing Dryad Arbor out. In we go. Invigorate on Heartfire Hero. Copying that trigger. Kozilek's command is a thing that exists. Same targets. So, do it again. Opponent gets some life in the short term here. That is a Force of Will. Opponent down to 1 card. Still get a copy. Opponent will take 15 here. And I think I will hold Dryad Arbor for Force of Vigor. I have opponent on a 3-turn clock. Not counting any Ancient Tomb tapping or anything else that I draw. Progenitus is a dead draw, unfortunately. In for 3. Opponent to 6. Oh, I could have played out Dryad Arbor there now that I have Progenitus. And it's actually a very big mistake that I didn't, because 4 damage means that they can't tap Ancient Tomb. Chancellor, terrible draw. In we go. Opponent to 3. I will pass turn. Alright. They had an unfortunate mulligan. I made a little mistake there that did not get punished. I believe we are now positive in the league no matter what with this deck. That's really good for a meme deck. GG's. Oh. Oh, numbers go up? Double Leyline, Goblin in play. Have Berserk. I think I keep it. Leyline, Goblin. And I think I don't Once Upon a Time before my opponent makes their land drop. I might want information. It's like, do I want to play around a potential days on Once Upon a Time? Oh, do I get to make fun of you for being a second main phase hipster? I don't. You just didn't play a card. Fucking Blazing Shoal. Oh. Alright. So, Quicksilver? The Berserk is just fully unnecessary if Blazing Shoal resolves. I'm just copying Blazing Shoal multiple times, actually. Alright, yeah. So let's Quicksilver. Fetch. Blazing Shoal draws was bananas. Taiga. Quicksilver. In we go. No blocks. Blazing Shoal. Pitch Progenitus. Same targets to make the number as big as possible. That's 31 damage. If I had opted to Berserk instead, we could have doubled that thing's power 3 times. Bananas. So do I just board in Mindbreak Trap or like Surgical? anticipating that my opponent is some weird combo deck. I'm just confirming. They kept 7 and fully just passed their turn. That reads to me like potentially Reanimator, where they wanted to just hard discard to hand size, in which case I do something that looks like that. I think that's my soul read. All right. I have Goblin in play. The rest of the hand looks pretty bad. Let's mulligan this. This just kills on turn 1. Leyline, Quicksilver in play. Copy. Progenitus, win. Yep. Do I keep Invigorate or second land drop? I think I'm going to keep second land drop as Dryad Arbor. Leyline, Quicksilver. All right. You are playing an Urza's Tower deck and skipped your first turn. That is legally allowed, I guess. Show me Dismember or you're dead. In we go. Blazing Shoal. Pitch Progenitus. All right. They did have Dismember, so they are not dead. Okay. We are playing a game of Magic then. So I will fetch in response to this Petrified Hamlet trigger. I will pick up a creature. Opponent has named Wooded Foothills, which I do not currently have. I will unfortunately just be bashing in for 1 here and trying to find something to do with a Surveil land. Seems like my opponent is Eldrazi aggro. Negative, I'm wrong. That's where I usually see Petrified Hamlet. Trinosphere, not great for me, but I do have a decent amount of mana right now. It's just like Dryad Arbor wants to turn sideways. Or just get second Dryad Arbor and just say the hell with attacking, like the hell with casting spells. That actually doesn't sound that bad. It's weird. Tapped Stomping Ground. In 4-2. Opponent 2-13. Another Urza's Tower. No Planar Nexus to go with it, luckily. Heartfire Hero. That's probably worth casting. I give up 1 point of damage this turn to have a creature that's much better with like Blazing Shoal in play. In for 1. We see if something like a Kozilek's Command happens at end of turn. It does. Opponent does not get rid of my Heartfire Hero though. 1 top, 1 bottom with that. Now it's Planar Nexus. So this is presumably pretty darn bad. All right. And now my opponent has the 1 ring and I lose my Leyline. Doesn't seem great. This is probably the point where I should just concede. Well, I mean, I guess we're playing in at Ugin. My opponent should just block. All right, they do. I can't do the Blazing Shoal, kill Ugin thing. Unfortunate. 14. Opponent has Ugin and nigh infinite mana with 3 copies of Urza's Tower and Planar Nexus. Also, Ugin is giving a decent amount of life padding as well. We're not quite getting there. The key can untap the 1 ring as well. I've probably seen about enough here. Yeah, with the Karn as well. I think you've got it. GG. So now I know that what my opponent is playing, and they just kept an unplayable game 1 opening hand for some reason. I can play Force of Vigor, and then I can decide if I want, like, Legolas's Quick Reflexes for Dismember specifically, or if I want, like, a Pact. This Mindbreak Trap gets to go as well. I could also just not Force of Vigor when I am on the play, and just, like, play Pacts and Legolas's Quick Reflexes, and just try to kill them before they get going, which is pretty reasonable, honestly. Yeah, I'm going to do Pacts and 2 Quick Reflexes. All right. Leyline, Quicksilver starts in play. I Monstrous Rage Quicksilver twice on turn 1. It's okay. The Pact isn't good here. The Progenitus isn't good here. This is a very strong 4 to 5 card hand. I think I'm going to try to do better. Is that literally the exact same hand? I think it wasn't Commercial District before. Okay. I didn't like it last time. I don't love it this time. I think on 6, I'll keep this. I think I get rid of Pact so that if I Surveil land for Progenitus, or sorry, for Blazing Shoal, that just works. I think that's what I'm going to do. All right. Bam, bam. Fetch Taiga. do Monstrous Rage and copy it, and send in for 6 points of damage immediately. Opponent has Ancient Tomb, Grim Monolith. Is there more? There is. Manifold Key. That gets to untap the Monolith and bring my opponent up to 4 mana. That is a turn 1 One Ring. Seems sweet. Opponent will have 4 cards in hand. They are at 12 life with Ancient Tomb and One Ring, negatively impacting their life total. I'm gonna say no to that. So I don't get any damage this turn because of the One Ring fog. Opponent to 11. 7 cards in hand. I don't need much to get over the finish line. Urza's Tower comes down. Grim Monolith gets untapped. Opponent down to 9. Or another One Ring. That's another turn of fog. And my opponent needs it. Like, I don't need to do much damage to them to outright kill them. That's reasonable. So if I get another turn, I suspect that my opponent is dead. They get to draw 2 cards again. They are up to 9 cards. They have, like, Manifold Key, Grim Monolith for mana, now Planar Nexus as well. They're going for the untap on the ring. And it looks like they are now passing the turn. Alright, that is Monstrous Rage. I suspect that my opponent has Trixies here. In for 2. 2 isn't lethal, so I have to play another spell here, unfortunately. So here is Monstrous Rage and copying it. My opponent will draw with the One Ring. Now, if my opponent's answer is Dismember, I Invigorate and I think still kill my opponent. Okay, and that's why I saved this one for second. So now, Invigorate here, you gain some life, I copy this spell, and now you need like a Kozilek's command on top of this. Alright, cool. That is a 4-1 finish with our One Punch Man full in Send It aggro deck. GG's. Alright, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Definitely an improvement from the last time around when it was played. I like Quicksilver, Brash Blur here. Being able to do the thing on turn 1, as in you open up with this in play, and then you have Leyline, Blazing Shoal, and just kill your opponent on turn 1. I think that is incredibly relevant. This is an upgrade for this deck. I am unsure how I feel about the protection cards. Pact and Legolas's Quick Reflexes both absolutely did things in today's league. That said, the games that I lost, I often lost by like inches. I wonder if there is anything to having some like Lightning Bolt, Price of Progress style burn somewhere in the 75, so that you can chonk your opponent for 15 or so in the first couple of turns and then have an out to them stabilizing the board. Like, I don't know where exactly the lever on speed is supposed to be. Like, you could drop game 1 Legolas's Quick Reflexes and play Once Upon a Time, like 2 more copies of that. I think Cacophony Scamp was a creature that was in here previously that was replaced by Quicksilver. It's possible with the Leylines, 1 or 2 other pump spells might not be the end of the world either. There were definitely times where I was sitting with a Leyline in play just wishing that I had something to fire off. So whatever the second best Monstrous Rage style card is, maybe we play 1 or 2 of those. But overall, I give this a thumbs up. I don't know that I want to stake my competitive tournament success on this or anything, but I think you can expect to win a lot of games of Legacy with a deck that can just go this fast. That said, the One Ring is a sack of shit, and trying to play a dedicated aggro deck in a One Ring world is really, really rough, as we saw multiple different times here. All right, folks, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day here. I hope you all enjoyed. The donation deck list queue is a little light right now, so if you have something you want to see on the channel that's sweet like this, or you want me to just kind of do my own thing, all of that donation deck list information is available in every video, and I hope you all have a great rest of the day. See ya!